Okay. Hello, everybody, and thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Leah Martino, and I'm the Assistant Programming Manager of the Poetry Matters Project. Today, I have the pleasure of introducing Xavier R. Clark, author and director of Black People Don't Tango and longtime partner of the Poetry Matters Project. Xavier has worked alongside his mom, Lucinda Clark, founder of the PMP since he was a child, and is now forging his own path in the literary community. His written story, Black People Don't Tango, can be found in the collection View from the Middle of the Road, and the documentary version can be found on YouTube. Today, I just have a few questions to introduce yourself and your work to the Poetry Matters community. Firstly, what inspired you to create Black People Don't Tango?
Yeah, well, I appreciate you having me. So Black People Don't Tango was really inspired by watching my parents. They learned how to tango dance over a couple years,
Mm-hmm.
and it was just a really funny story. So I kind of decided to put my own little twist on it and just kind of tell a fun story that I thought would be kind of just entertaining for people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And kind of going off of that, after watching the film, like the funny aspect, after watching the film, I noticed a lot of comedic influence that you put into it that was probably a little more
Yeah.
subtle in the story. Like, I felt the story was definitely funny, but I felt it was more like heartwarming, like this nice
Yeah.
story with your parents coming together and doing something that they both love. Why did you choose comedy over like more of the heartwarming aspect?
Yeah. Okay. That's a good question. I think it was funny you say that. I think that the story was kind of funny to me. I don't think anyone else actually thought it was funny until I kind of started telling the story my way. But I think humor kind of unites people in a different way. I think
Mhm.
heartwarming. I think it is a heartwarming story for sure because, like you said, it's about this family, this man and this woman kind of coming together. They're my parents, but just any two people coming together and kind of finding this thing that they're doing together. But I think that the comedy, I just saw it as being so funny. Maybe it's just because it was my parents. Maybe it's just kind of my own just humor. I don't know, but that's kind of why I did it that way. But that's a good question. I never really thought about it consciously, I guess.
No, that's really interesting because when reading it and also knowing your mother, I was like, oh, this is so telling and so cute. And then I watched the film and I was like, whoa, totally different spin. And I was like, this is great. I was like, this is
Yeah,
so funny.
yeah. Everyone who knows my parents
Um,
just dies when they see it. People who don't are always just like, "Wow, those are your parents? Did that really happen?" Like you mentioned the documentary. I always say like it's just my version because everyone has their own version of what actually happened. Uh, we definitely did go to Argentina. That definitely did happen. But everything else, everyone has their own version of the events.
yeah. And going into that, what's your favorite part in creating the film?
Yeah, yeah. I remember you asked me that before. Making films is very difficult. It's very challenging process. There's a lot of moving pieces. There's a lot, even a short film. We had crew, we had multiple locations, we had multiple dance scenes, we had extras, we had to feed people, we had to like schedule very, very precisely because everyone's busy. And we shot it over like 2 weekends, really 3 days. And we shot it right on ended right when we were supposed to. So I mean, really everything is a challenge. It's a logistical challenge when you're working with people who some people have acting experience, some people don't.
Mhm.
Trying to kind of get your vision across while
Mhm.
juggling like 8 things is very fun, but the whole thing is pretty challenging. But I enjoyed it, and I kind of look forward to doing a few more projects, some bigger projects.
What projects do you have in store for you in the future?
Yeah, so I'm actually working on a story now that I wrote and hoping to direct. It's called The House Count. It's sort of more of a thriller, though. It's set in Augusta, Georgia, where I'm from. so that's kind of in the works, hopefully getting some funding and stuff like that for it. And there's also another story that I want to adapt. It's actually by one of my mom's authors. He wrote a story that's based in France that I would like to hopefully adapt into a screenplay.
What story? Which author?
His name is Geza. Geza, I don't want to butcher his last name. Starts with a T.
I Pat Rallier. I've spoken to
Okay.
him, so I've had to. It's a great last name.
Yeah, it's an awesome a great first name.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, he wrote a really cool story that I don't want to say too much because we're still kind of really early stages on even thinking about that one. But he wrote a really cool story. I think The House Count is a pretty cool story that I want to tell. A very different from Black People Don't Tango. Very different stories. And we're actually looking to hopefully adapt the short film into a feature film.
Oh, wow.
Black People Don't Tango. That's sort of the hope and the goal right now, if it's possible.
That'd be really exciting. And one of the questions that I was thinking about that probably the Poetry Matters community would like to know, what was it like working with your mom as one of your actresses?
Yeah, well, actually, two of my actresses.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as you know, she was the executive producer on the film. So me and her were basically like, Batman and Robin on that. Some days I was Batman, some days she was Batman. Some days she was Batman and Robin, which was pretty cool. But she was great to work with. She's very, very she's a Renaissance woman. I've been saying it for years. She's just super talented woman, super smart, super to the point for the most part. And she can act, which was really cool. So it was great. There was a couple of times where we almost ripped each other's heads off because there was just so much happening. But it was really actually her idea to actually shoot the short. I think you know the story. I was getting ready to go to law school. And so I kind of was like, well, I don't really have time for this. But she was like, no, we should do it. And we had a lot of help from a lot of people. Alex Berry, who I think he kind of helped. He flew in to help. She arranged a lot of that. So yeah, it was great. The whole thing was great. It was kind of impossible looking back on it that we pulled it off, but it was a really good time. And I really enjoyed working with her for sure.
Yeah. No, that sounds so great. And I think that's all I have for you today. So thank you so much for talking with me, and everyone should check out Black People Don't Tango on YouTube when they get a chance.
Yeah, appreciate you having me. Hope everyone checks it out and enjoys the film. Hope they comment on it. And yeah, I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.